Action. Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the Irish Abroad Show. I'm joined once again by Ger Browne. Well, I'd probably say the other way around. Ger is joined by me, but here we are, the day after the World Cup final. And Ger, what did you think of the World Cup final? What did you think of the World Cup overall?
Yeah, never thought you'd say that the week of Christmas week, the day after the World Cup final, but it was a brilliant tournament with a great conclusion. It has to be said yesterday. Obviously, we all know the circumstances around the tournament and everything else like that, but from a football and spectacle point of view, it was brilliant. For 78, 80 minutes yesterday, you thought this was one-way traffic. It was all Argentina, and it felt like it was inevitable that they were going to coast out to victory. They probably looked the more likely to get the third goal at the time. France just could barely even put three or four passes together. They looked shocking. It looked like it was going to be one of the worst team performances in the World Cup final. But you always kind of felt that if they got one, but the way Argentina collapsed against the Dutch, the way they crawled over the line after conceding against Australia, even go back to the group game when Saudi Arabia scored, they kind of caved in and lost that. You felt if France could get one, they could put the pressure on, and lo and behold, after Mbappe's penalty, he scores that wonderful goal, makes it 2-2. And then you think for the last 10 minutes of normal time towards injury time, France are going to win this. Argentina are both mentally and physically gone. They're shattered. France are absolutely high on confidence now all over them. And you kind of felt and feared for Argentina going to extra time, but you would say they were probably slightly the better team in extra time. It looked like it was going to have the perfect ending with Messi getting the winner. And then, of course, France had to go down the other end of the pitch. Mbappe completed his hat-trick, and the drama just went on. It was end to end. There was chances. There was that brilliant save from Martinez. Then the Argentina going on the end of the pitch. Martinez, pretty tame header, probably should have done better. But I just had that feeling maybe because France lost the penalty shootout in the Euros last year to Switzerland. Argentina had got over the line against Argentina, or against, sorry, Holland. I felt they were going to win the penalty shootout, and it just obviously as well, Martinez is, such a kind of a shit stirrer is probably the best way to describe it. These penalty shootouts, kind of very good with the mind kind of games and everything else like that. And Messi kind of calmly scored in his penalty. Can't remember who missed France's first penalty that Martinez saved.
I think it was Camavinga or one of those lads, Chouameni.
Yeah,
Chouamani.
I just kind of felt that it was definitely going to be destiny for Argentina. But I think it was like Darren Maloney said in commentary after it felt like they had to win it three times. But no, it's brilliant. I think it was good. Obviously, because Messi now has finally completed football, and that we can end the debate about whether he'll ever be remembered for being a top player, and he will. He'll definitely now 100% be remembered as the best player of our generation. But I think just in general as well, if France had won yesterday, it would have been the fifth World Cup in a row that would have been won by a European team, and you kind of would have been felt where is the state of kind of football going. So it's good that it's been taken away from Europe. It's good that another continent has won it. It was a very good tournament from that sense. You think back to 2018, Europe dominated that World Cup. The last four teams were all European, whereas we had, South American and African team. Morocco as well were brilliant in this World Cup, brought so much. So yeah, a great World Cup with a great conclusion. And obviously, I think even from an Irish point of view, 13 years on handball is still bitter. So it's no harm to see France beaten either.
Yeah, even though everyone changed the tune after they beat England, but yeah, look, as you say,
Yeah,
it's great. It's a fairy tale ending to see Messi win the World Cup. I think once it got to the semi final, I think every general football fan, bar the Ronaldo lovers, and the French, wanted Messi to win it. Just purely because if you look at footballers and generally the best players ever, they always have some sort of thing like that weighs them down. Like Ronaldo did the stupid interview with Piers Morgan. Maybe not as bad as like say the stuff with like Maradona was done for doing with Argentina. Maybe Pele was one who never really got in trouble, but there always seems to be something that happens. Like Zidane, when he finished and he headbutted Materazzi, and his career kind of ended badly in terms of the way they got sent off. The French lost, and if he had kept his cool, they probably would have won it. I think if you look at stuff like that, Messi, he's pretty much gone through his career pretty perfect. Now he's got a bit angrier over the years, I will say. Like he does get quite snappy at people, as you can see. He did it to Weghorst after the Holland game, and all. He was snapping at him in the post-match press conference, or post-match interview, sorry, and yeah, he was snapping at him and just be like, what are you looking at, stupid, or whatever. But that's the only kind of real thing you would say negatively towards him, and even still it's not that negative in reality. So Yeah, look, I'm delighted that he's won it. I think it etches his name in history, and everybody who's a football fan would have wanted that fairy tale ending, and it's kind of like in some ways, Michael Jordan, the way he used to win everything with basketball and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be a documentary out in a few years of how much Messi had to dig deep to get through and win, and you just felt when that ball fell to him in extra time when he scored that goal that it was going to be Argentina's day. Although when they did concede the two, I did think they were going to crumble at that stage, and I thought Mbappe might get a third just before the 90, but he didn't. Obviously got the penalty laid on, and in fairness to him, he showed balls of steel as well to bury the three penalties I think it was in the end, and the goal. The goal he scored was unbelievable as well, and he showed his quality, and I think he'll be looking to emulate Messi at the end of his career. I know he's already won the World Cup and stuff like that. I think the focus now would be for him would be the Champions League with PSG, but he's definitely got a huge career ahead of him now, and yeah, look, it's maybe the passing of the torch now. Messi's retired from international, or no, he hasn't retired from international football, but he's not going to play another World Cup, he has said. So I think he'll get the 100 goals or whatever it is. I think he's only 2 goals away, and then he'll probably just say, "See you later. I've done what I can for the country," and leave. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. I think it pretty much kind of sums it all up there as well. Like I said, it was a brilliant tournament. Even if you take away the twists and turns in the group stages, like I said, what Morocco kind of brought to it as well. Like the drama as well, the Holland Argentina quarter final yesterday as well. It was
I think
a
Morocco were
great
the
tournament.
unsung heroes in many ways.
Yeah,
They're a very likable team. Um, they've got players like Hakimi and Ziyech and stuff like that, and they're good players that you want to see do well. And obviously when they were beating the likes of Spain and Portugal and stuff like that, that's what you want to see, kind of from a neutral.
yeah, and like even the game when they did lose, got knocked out against France, like they died with their boot on. You can't say they didn't give it a go and left anything out there. They had some really good chances, and it wasn't like, as you mentioned, Dunne's own story, very similar to Greece when they were Euros, but it wasn't like they were like them where they stepped back and they were caging defensive. Like as you said, they had some really good players and they're well able to play football. And you forget as well, they played Belgium. I know Belgium maybe aren't the team they were a couple of years ago. They played Belgium off the park as well in the group stages. Like so, as I said, like on the show last week, there's probably maybe similarities between themselves and maybe Ireland to Jack Charlton's days and stuff like that. So we could kind of probably buy into it a little bit that way. But no, it was a brilliant tournament. It's just mad to think now, it's so annoying. Why is the World Cup every 4 years? We have to wait another 3.5 years in this case, the next one. So I know we got the Euros in 2 summers' time. That would be obviously something to look forward to as well. Obviously, whether we're going to be there or not, we'll probably know, we will know by more than likely this time next year. But yeah, at least we've got the Premier League now. I suppose, unlike maybe when the World Cup traditionally finishes in the summer, that's it for another 4 or 5 weeks until club football comes back. But I suppose we're probably great from this point of view. We're straight back into it. Like the Championship and Scottish Premiership, we're going to touch on, is back already. There's League Cup games now this week, and then it really takes another level when the Premier League resumes on this day week and Stevens' Day.
Yeah, I'm delighted. Keep the football coming, and obviously it's good to have it over the Christmas and stuff like that. So, yeah, a lot of Irish involvement in goals this week, which I'm sure we'll get stuck into now, and it's good to see. But we need more players, Premier League level, really, to start kicking on before you start seeing us in any sort of tournaments, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree. And as mentioned, more players in Premier League, but the problem is we have a lot of players in the Championship, and there was a lot of Irish involved in the Championship this weekend on a positive note. So starting with the Friday night game between Birmingham City and Reading. No Scott Hogan again for Birmingham. It does seem as if it's an injury there. He did pull out of an Ireland squad. I remember it was true injury for the Norway and Malta game, so it must be a bit of a serious enough injury there. But Jeff Hendrick did get an assist in this game for Reading, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. They did make somewhat of a bit of a mini comeback, not quite as good as France. They were 3-0 down, but still lost that game 3-2. And Shane Long also started this game for Reading. That was his first start since early September. Ryan Manning was also involved in a dramatic comeback, equally as good as France's, as Swansea City came from 3-0 down to draw 3-3 away to Coventry City. He actually got the assist for the opening goal in that game for Swansea. So incredible character shown from them in the latter half of that second half to take something from that game. Armstrong Aquaflex also came on just after half time for the Swans. Callum Robinson got an assist and a yellow card for diving in Cardiff City's 1-1 draw with Blackpool. The one for diving for going down the penalty box, they showed it on Soccer Saturday. I was watching that, and the panel did seem to think it was quite harsh. The referee got that wrong, but he played an unbelievable eye of a needle ball for their assist for their opening goal in that game, or their only goal. They drew that game 1-1 with Blackpool. Calvin Dowda also started that game and also got booked for Cardiff City, while CJ Hamilton, for the second week in a row, was sprung off the bench for Blackpool. So Cal Robinson seems to kind of continue where he's left off at Ireland after he got that goal against Malta. That's 2 weeks in a row now he's had goal involvements for Cardiff. And I have to say he has done quite well since he got a move there back in the summer from West Brom. And speaking of West Brom's old club, Darragh O'Shea captained them to a 3-0 victory over Rotherham on Saturday, and Jason Lumby came on for the last 17 minutes of that game. So Steve Bruce's men have found a little bit of form over the last couple of weeks. They should be really one of those sides that should be up more closer to the top end of the table in the Championship, in all fairness, West Brom. As for the losers, Rotherham, Chinozie Ogbene, as he regularly does, started that game, and Georgie Kelly came on halfway through the second half. Jimmy Dunne got the winner for QPR. I don't know how much he actually really knew about the goal. It seemed to just kind of hit off him and go in from a corner. But it was the winner as they won 1-0 away to Preston North End, his second goal of the season, his first since September. Shadipo also came on in this game for QPR, a regular substitute for them throughout the season. He played the last 13 minutes. While Greg Cunningham, unfortunately, was the only sole Irish representative for Preston. Robbie Brady and Troy Parrish are both confirmed as out injured at the moment. I presume Alan Brown is in the same boat as well. He wasn't in the matchday squad, but they didn't have anything on his status update on Flash Score. Cyrus Christie and Sean McLaughlin both started for Hull City in their 1-1 draw at home against Sunderland. Josh Cullen and Burnley got the better of Darrell Lenihan and Middlesbrough 3-1. They came from behind in that game, Burnley. There was even late drama with a penalty in that game that Middlesbrough missed. So 3-1 victory there for Burnley to keep them top of it. Okay, very good. Very unusual for Josh actually to have a goal involvement. Very rarely he does, but so that's nice to see. But in general, playing very, very well. As we mentioned, their Prince and Company certainly seems to have brought his game to another level. And Burnley, in general, going very well, looking good for a meteor return back to the Premier League. Will Smallbone started in Stoke City's 2-1 victory away to Bristol City. He was the sole Irish involved in that game. Cavan Kilkenny was an unused sub. As for the home side, Max O'Leary was once again between the posts, while Mark Sykes came on for the last 15 minutes. And finally, from the Championship, Adam Ida once again came off the bench for Norwich City and his return from injury. But it was a disappointing day for them as they went down to a surprise 2-0 home defeat against Blackburn Rovers, whose Sammy Smollocks also came off the bench for. Andrew Omomadeli once again was an unused sub for Norwich as he makes his return from injury. So yeah, Paul, a lot to kind of get through there. Once again, good to see Callum Robinson involved in the goals. Jimmy Dunne, he's really, really established himself for QPR in the season and a half that he's been there. And as you mentioned as well, as we mentioned on the show last week, Josh Cullen and Burnley absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, I think Jeff Hendrick got a bit of a dodgy assist as well in that Reading game as well. I'm not sure it was much of an assist. I think it was like a shot. It was pretty much going in, and the striker came in and headed. I think that game ended 3-2. So they lost 3-2. I think they were 3-0 down. Was that the Birmingham game?
Yeah. That's right, Jeff, Friday night.
Yeah. So I saw that one. I see Callum Robinson's assist was unbelievable. I shared that today on our socials, and yeah, it was really, really top class. One, to find him, and then two, obviously the technique to be able to do that. And it was so good that literally the striker just had to make a decent contact. Now he still had a lot to do, but once he could lift that over the keeper, with the pace that was on it, you knew it was pretty much a goal. So fantastic by him, and obviously the striker as well to put it away. I'm not sure of his name, but anyway. And Jimmy Dunne, yeah, great to see him scoring goals. You'd wonder what he has to do to probably get a chance to play for Ireland. He's been called up a couple of times when others have pulled out, but really becoming a seasoned championship player at this stage now for QPR. And as you say, he's a regular fixture in that QPR side, and they always seem to be banging on about him, how good he's been for them. So just a solid centre-back, I think, a bit of a no-nonsense centre-back, and that's probably why he doesn't get into Kenny's team, because he's maybe not so much of a ball player, but just a proper old-school centre-back. But again, I don't really watch him that much to know, is he decent on the ball or whatever, but look, he's scoring goals, winning games for the club, so I think that's all that really matters. And yeah, Josh getting an assist, I mean, I'm kind of running out of things to say about Josh at this stage. I mean, I'm always bigging him up every week, so there's not much more I can really say about him. I just think he's just showing his quality all the time and consistently, and he's probably the most consistent Irish player that I've seen in a while. That you don't really see him having too many bad performances, and you know he's probably Ireland's best player at the moment.
Yeah, I think on current form, and he got the player of the year for 2022 as well. Probably maybe the other thing to take away from him as well was very, very encouraging to see, and it probably says a lot about him at such a young, tender age. I think he's still only 22. Darragh O'Shea, seeing captaining West Brom, obviously that Steve Bruce places a lot of faith and trust in him. We know about him already that he comes across very, very mature for someone of his tender's age, and there's no doubt about it. There's such a thing as a leadership group in the Ireland camp with Stephen Kenny. I can't imagine he's too far away, and he probably has been someone we've talked up for a while. He's going to be a
Well, it's not
potential
Bruce
future Ireland
anymore.
captain.
It's Carlos
Oh, sorry, he is
Corberan,
Steve.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Steve Bruce got the sack there in the season. That's right, because when Roy Keane was into the job. But it's encouraging to see that he's been still highly thought of as well at club level.
Yeah, but he's, a lot of managers that have come in there. I think I could be wrong in saying this, but I think maybe Allardyce had him as captain at one stage last season. Or sorry, the season before when doing the Prem. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but a lot of managers he played him either way, and he was still quite young at the time. Kenny really likes him as well, and I wouldn't say it'd be long before he's captain Ireland at some stage, but someone who is obviously the captain at the moment to score tonight now in John Egan scoring for Sheffield United, an emphatic header if you're to go by Kenny's kids on Twitter. So I think he's put Sheffield United 1-0 up at the moment. Some people are probably watching that, so that's probably why they're not on with us. But yeah, I think that's 1-0 at the moment. 1-0, 31 minutes gone. Big John Egan from an Oliver Norwood assist.
Yeah, a bit of a local, I wouldn't say local, a bit of an Irish derby. There's so much Irish involvement in that game, obviously, with the three lads, Kieran Clark, John Egan, and Enda Stevens, Sheffield United, and then obviously Will Keane and James McLean with Wigan, of course, Anthony Scully there as well, but struggling to kind of get game time there since his move in the summer. But the league that Anthony Scully did very well in was League One, and we'll move on to that because there's a nice bit to get through there from the weekend as well. Their fixture list was a little bit more hampered and hit the weekend from the cold snap. But just Irish involvements from the weekend. Conor Grant got an assist in NK Dong's 2-0 win over Portsmouth. So kind of one of them old cases of you get a kind of a bit of a bounce after a change of manager, and MK Dong's once again proven true to that. Anthony O'Connor scored for Morecambe in their 2-1 defeat away to Plymouth Argyle. That's his first goal of the season. And probably the big interesting involvement from the weekend in League One. David McGoldrick got a hat-trick for Derby County in their 4-0 victory over Forest Green Rovers. He's now up to 10 goals for the season, 7 in the league, and most encouraging as well, Jason Knight got an assist for one of his goals in that game. David McGoldrick be one of those players, Paul, while he didn't really maybe have long in a green shirt, I still think he'd be fondly remembered by fans, and particularly that time under Mick McCarthy's most recent spell. He probably was the star player, or one of the definite star players from our Euro 2020 qualifying campaign.
Yeah, I think, look, it's unfortunate that he just kind of decided that he didn't want to play international football anymore, but you can understand at his age, and I think that's why he's probably dropped down to play in League One now with Derby, but they're getting the fruits of it. I mean, there's a good core of the Irish lads there with Aaron Cashin, Jason Knight, James Collins, and Didzy, and Didzy's banging them in, and it was 3 good goals, like 2 quite simple ones, but then the second one he got with Knight hits it to him, and he had a lovely turn onto his left foot, bang, top corner. I mean, it shows the class that he has, but unfortunately, as I said, I don't think we really ever got to see the best of him in an Ireland jersey. He was good against a couple of teams. I think like Georgia he was good in. I think that was under Mick, the tennis ball game he was really good in that game, and then the Switzerland game where he scored the Aviva. He was really good in that game as well, and got a really good equaliser to get us back into the game, which we probably thought was dead and buried at that stage. And so I don't think we really got to see the best of him. I know he was voted player of the year during COVID there. Just someone came in the comments there, Eugene McGeever, just had thoughts on Messi win the World Cup for Argentina yesterday. against France in the World Cup final yesterday afternoon. Eugene, we did speak about it at the start, so if you go back and watch it, we spoke for about 10 minutes on the World Cup final yesterday, so you can check that out. But yeah, just back to Didsey. Fantastic to see them doing well. Hopefully he gets Derby promoted and continues to do well for them in the championship. But it's good to see all the Irish lads doing well there for Derby County, and obviously there's a big connection between the Irish and Derby County, but we will not mention Richard Keogh on that one.
No, probably best not to, but I think, what was I going to say there? Even the Slovakia game, actually, the playoff, I thought McGoldrick was brilliant that night. Probably one of his only appearances under Stephen Kenyon. I think at this stage now, it's over 2 years since he retired. It's touched on. He's now dropped down to League One. I think initially at first we're kind of maybe hoping he might reverse his decision and retire in international football. I do think kind of at the time it was trying to help prolong his Premier League career with Sheffield United. They ended up being relegated that season. I think there was kind of personal issues as kind of well, but still, as I said, even though I probably didn't see that much from him, maybe towards the end when he kind of got on that good run with Sheffield United, but I still think he kind of will be very, very fondly remembered by Irish fans. Move on to the Championship or the Scottish Premiership again. Their fixture list was a little bit hampered as well by the weather over the weekend, but a few bits of information to take away from that. Aidan McGeady made his competitive debut from Hibs since joining the summer, but coming on for the last 11 minutes of their 3-2 defeat away to Rangers on Thursday night in Ibrox. So you can imagine, as a former Celtic player, he probably got a lovely reception there when he came on from the home fans. Johnny Hayes came off the last 18 minutes of Aberdeen's 1-0 defeat at home to Celtic. Celtic actually got a very, very late goal to win that game to maintain their 9-point lead at the top of the table. Graham Carey played the full 90 minutes as St. Johnstone extended their unbeaten run to 6 games now. They're up to the top half of the table. The 2-1 win away to Ross County on Saturday. And Alan Power, captain Kilmarnock, but they had a day to forget as they fell to a 3-1 defeat to Hearts. I suppose, Paul, we've seen kind of links and rumours last week suggesting that the FAI might be looking to get Lee Carsley as a long-term replacement for Stephen Kenny. But Jim Goodwin is someone as well that we kind of talked about as well. Obviously done a fantastic job with limited resources at St. Mirren. You know, got promoted and got his rewards for that job by getting a step up by going to Aberdeen. Didn't really quite work out last season, but they're doing really well this season, despite that defeat to Celtic. But that was always going to be a difficult task. They're third in the table. Where do you think? I think he belongs in the conversation to be potential Ireland manager as well.
Yeah, I don't know. He's done all right, and he's brought through a good few Irish players and stuff like that. But I still think he's a ways to go, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But look, stranger things have happened, and if the FAI need to go with cheaper route, they might just decide to do that. But I think he just wouldn't be for me right now. Not that we're exactly in the best shape. I would actually prefer Carsley, if I'm being honest. But look, I like him, and I hope he continues to do a good job with Aberdeen. But yeah, he's brilliant with St. Mirren, and he's shown that he can get the best out of not the best group of players, but he can get maximize and get extra percentage out of players. So maybe in that regard he could be good, but I just think the jury's out a little bit on him, in my opinion.
Do you still think he'd need to be tried and trusted in England first before that you wouldn't promote him directly from Aberdeen to the Republic of Ireland job?
Yeah, possibly. I think the SPL Aberdeen is too low of a standard to judge. Would he be good at international level? Now people will go, well, hang on, Stephen Kenny was League of Ireland and he was Dunfermline, so there's that argument to it too. But just my preference would be if he could go to England and do well and get some experience at a higher level. I think he'd be more respected by players too. So that would just be my opinion. But again, our players aren't exactly playing in Premier League every week. They're not although some of them may have egos, they're not they probably don't have a right to really have huge egos in terms of with managers and stuff like that if they're playing not too many of them are playing Premier League football at all. So that's what I think.
Yeah, as I mentioned there as well, Aberdeen beaten by Celtic at the weekend. Obviously a little bit kind of going off topic, not kind of quite, because Celtic obviously is such a massive kind of following in Ireland as well. And I know yourself, you're a big Celtic fan, you try to get over there as much as you can as well, Paul. You have to say, I kind of know the Champions League, had its ups and its downs. There were a couple of really good performances. Like they were very good against Real Madrid for 60 odd minutes. Then class kind of told out. They got the results in Shakhtar. But I think overall in general, you'd still say Celtic fans would be very happy with how this season is going to go on, and they've opened up probably a bigger lead than anticipated over Rangers. And if they can win that game in early January, there's a good chance that Celtic would probably have one hand, if not already, on the league title.
Yeah, sorry, I was just changing the chat around there. It's messing around there. Yeah, look, I think it's Celtic's league to lose at this stage. I don't think Rangers are really that strong this season. They obviously sacked the manager, got a new manager in, but have to be wary of that too. So yeah, but like I think Ange is brilliant since he's came in, and the way he handles everything, the way he handles the media, everything like that. So I'm really not that worried about Rangers at this moment in time. But then again, things can change. But for the moment, I'm happy enough. So
yeah, big game on the 2nd of January. Like I said, if Rangers could win that game, maybe results change in between, then the gap could be narrowed down. Strange enough, I was actually looking at the Scottish Premiership fixtures over Christmas. Celtic are playing on New Year's or playing on Christmas Eve, which is very unusual. But I suppose maybe for a novelty, for a change, it'd be nice to have a bit of football to watch on Christmas Eve, and add to the already stacked schedule of fixtures over the next couple of weeks. Just one last thing to bring you from an Irish update. It's from Scottish League One. Rui Payton got his 10th goal of the season for Queen of the South, but they still fell to a 2-1 defeat to Kelty Hearts. That's pretty much the roundup there, Paul. I suppose, is there anything really else to talk about? We know
yeah.
League Cup this week. Be a good chance maybe for a lot of our Irish players. I know, for instance, being a Liverpool fan, playing Man City Thursday night, it'd be another good chance for Caoimhín Kelleher to showcase his talent.
Yeah, just a couple of transfers. I think David Harrington has left Cork for Fleetwood Town. I think Phoenix Patterson, but he's confirmed today to have left Waterford to join their sister club, Fleetwood Town. So Waterford and Fleetwood are connected now. I think they're the same owner. So yeah, they're after taking Phoenix, so we won't see him in the Premier Division next season in the League of Ireland. A little bit of a shame, because I was looking forward to seeing if he was going to sign for anyone in the League of Ireland and getting a better look at him. I know he was at Spurs before, so yeah, he could be one that kicks on. They've already got a promise on a share there as well, and then if Harrington goes, so there'll be a bit more eyes maybe on Fleetwood going forward, and Scott Brown being the manager too. So there's a few links there.
Yeah, it's disappointing because he really lit up the first division and the cup run as well. And Waterford really kind of took off towards the end of the last season. Would have been nice to see him, I think, from a neutral kind of point of view, and for general interest in the League of Ireland, to see him in the Premier Division. But look, the days, as we've seen during the summer, when clubs in England come knocking, even at that level, it's very, very hard to go turn them down.
Yeah, it's a money game, unfortunately, and if you don't come with the money, then unfortunately you get left behind. So yeah, and that's why so many of our clubs struggle. But yeah, let's just see how they get on. Hopefully, if they do get on well, they'll be pushing to get Ireland call-ups and stuff like that. So it's a strange one with Harrington, because I thought he was going to go to Everton, but for whatever reason, I think he signed a 3-year deal now with Fleetwood. So let's see how he gets on.
Good stuff indeed. I think that's, as I said, all the roundup and everything else taken care of. As I mentioned, things now stepping up over the next kind of couple of days. Now the World Cup is over. The League Cup is back this week, the 4th round, and then the Premier League swings back into action on Stevens' Day, and there'll be a lot to get stuck into over the next couple of days. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure we'll probably touch base with you again between now and New Year with a roundup on the Irish Abroad show. But until then, Paul, just in case I don't see you between now and next Sunday, I want to wish you a very happy Christmas, and thanks for everything throughout 2022, and I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, likewise, have a great Christmas, and same to anyone listening or watching or commenting or anything like that as well. Thanks for all the support. Probably didn't do as much as we wanted this year just through work and stuff like that, but next year should be a good year, starting with some good interviews in the new year, but we'll keep them close to our chest for now. But yeah, you have a great Christmas, Ger. I'm sure I'll be on to you over the Christmas at some stage anyway, so yeah, don't go too wild, and make sure the cattle are fed, yeah.
Oh yeah, has to be done. First priorities.
Yeah, I suppose I'll do an outro, and Eugene says Merry Christmas and come on Everton for Boxing Day. Good man, Eugene. Thanks for commenting. He's the only one who's commenting tonight. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, drop a thumbs up on the video. Don't forget to subscribe, as I said. Leave your thoughts in the comments on anything we spoke of as well, especially those transfers. If you're a Waterford fan, you might be a bit disappointed to see Phoenix go, because you probably thought he was going to drag you up to the Premier Division with the season coming in. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe.